Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that proves failure is often just a stepping stone to success. We all know the name Henry Ford, the titan of industry who revolutionized manufacturing and put the world on wheels. But what if I told you that before the iconic Model T, before the assembly line, Henry Ford was a two-time failure? That's right. His journey was anything but a smooth ride. It was a bumpy, unpaved road full of dead ends and breakdowns that almost shattered his dream for good. This isn't just a story about cars. It's a story about resilience, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of a vision. So buckle up as we explore the forgotten failures of Henry Ford. Before he became a household name, Henry Ford was a young, ambitious engineer working at the Edison Illuminating Company in Detroit. By day, he was a loyal employee, keeping the city's lights on, but by night, his passion truly ignited. In a small brick shed behind his house, which he famously called his workshop, he was building something revolutionary. In 1896, after years of tinkering, he brought his creation to life, the Ford quadricycle. It was more of a motorized buggy than a car, with 4 bicycle wheels, a tiller for steering, and a simple 2-speed gearbox with no reverse. It was a marvel for its time, but Ford wasn't interested in just building one. He had a much bigger vision, to make a practical, affordable automobile for the average American family. With the success of the quadricycle, Ford gained the attention of wealthy investors. In 1899, with their backing, he left his stable job at Edison and founded his very first company, the Detroit Automobile Company. This was it, his big break. He had the capital, the workshop, and the vision, but things quickly went south. The investors were eager for profits. They wanted high-end, expensive cars that could be sold to the rich. Ford, however, was obsessed with perfecting his design. He wanted to create a lighter, simpler, and more reliable vehicle for the masses. This clash of visions created constant friction. Ford spent his time endlessly refining his designs, while his backers grew impatient, seeing very few cars roll out of the factory. In the end, after producing only about 20 vehicles, the Detroit Automobile Company was a commercial disaster. The investors lost faith, and in just over a year, the company was dissolved. Ford, at 37 years old, was left with his reputation in tatters and his dreams seemingly crushed. For most people, that would have been the end of the road. But Henry Ford wasn't most people. He knew his ideas were solid, even if his business skills weren't. He realized that to win back investors, he needed to do something dramatic. And in the early 1900s, nothing was more dramatic than auto racing. It was the ultimate test of speed, endurance, and engineering prowess. So Ford decided to build a race car. He and a small team designed a powerful machine they called Sweepstakes. It was a beast, boasting a massive engine with an unheard of 26 horsepower. In October 1901, Ford himself got behind the wheel to race against Alexander Winton, the most famous and successful racer in America. It was a David versus Goliath moment. Winton was the clear favorite, but his car started to falter. Ford, the underdog engineer, pushed Sweepstakes to its limit and pulled ahead, winning the race and the crowd's adoration. This victory was exactly the publicity stunt he needed. It restored his credibility and proved that his engineering concepts were sound. Riding the wave of his racing success, Ford found new backers and a second chance. In 1901, the Henry Ford Company was born. But incredibly, history began to repeat itself. The investors, led by the same men who had funded his first failed venture, were still focused on building high-priced luxury cars to get a quick return on their investment. They even brought in an outside expert, Henry M. Leland, to oversee production, effectively sidelining Ford in his own company. Ford was once again trapped. His dream of a car for the common man was being ignored. He was being pushed to compromise his vision for the sake of short-term profit. He couldn't do it. After just a few months, in a move that must have taken immense courage, Henry Ford walked away from his second company, taking his name and a small settlement with him. He was out on his own again. As for the Henry Ford Company, well, after Ford left, it was reorganized and renamed. You might have heard of it, the Cadillac Automobile Company. So here's Henry Ford, twice a founder, twice a failure. He had a vision nobody else seemed to share, and a track record that would scare off most investors. But Ford had learned some crucial lessons. He learned that to succeed, he needed total control. He couldn't compromise on his core vision of creating a simple, affordable, and reliable car for the masses. He also knew he needed investors who believed in the long-term vision, not just quick profits. With the winnings from his racing and the small settlement from his last venture, he went back to the drawing board. He continued to race and build faster cars, like the legendary 999, which set a land speed record. These victories kept his name in the headlines and his reputation as a brilliant innovator alive. Finally, in 1903, Ford found the right partners. He secured funding from a diverse group of investors, including Alexander Malcolmson, a coal dealer who truly believed in Ford's vision. And on June 16, 1903, at the age of 40, Henry Ford incorporated his third and final automobile company, the Ford Motor Company. This time, he was in charge. He owned a significant stake, and more importantly, had the final say on all engineering and production decisions. There would be no more compromises. He set out to build the car he had been dreaming of for over a decade. The company's first car, the Model A, was a success, but Ford kept pushing, refining his designs through a series of models, Model B, C, F, and so on. He was relentlessly pursuing his ultimate goal, a car that was so simple to drive, so easy to repair, and so low in price that nearly every American family could own one. And in 1908, he finally achieved it. The Ford Model T was born. It was everything he had envisioned. Nicknamed the Tin Lizzie, it was durable, practical, and affordable. But the true genius was in how it was built. Ford famously introduced the moving assembly line in 1913, a revolutionary manufacturing process that slashed the time it took to build a car from over 12 hours to just 93 minutes. This incredible efficiency allowed him to lower the price of the Model T year after year, making it accessible to more and more people. He also made the radical decision to pay his workers $5 a day, more than double the average wage, turning his own employees into potential customers. The rest, as they say, is history. The Ford Motor Company became a global powerhouse. The Model T put America on the road, transformed society, and made Henry Ford one of the richest and most influential men in the world. But it's so important to remember that none of this would have happened without those early failures. The Detroit Automobile Company taught him the pain of clashing visions. The Henry Ford Company taught him the non-negotiable value of creative control. His failures weren't dead ends. They were detours that forced him to find the right path. They were the crucible that forged his resolve and clarified his mission. So what's the takeaway from all this? Henry Ford's story is the ultimate testament to perseverance. It shows that your first, or even second, attempt isn't always the one that works. Success is often a process of trial, error, and learning. Ford's unwavering belief in his vision, even when investors, experts, and the market told him he was wrong, is what ultimately led to his triumph. He wasn't just building a car. He was building a new world, and he refused to let anyone get in the way of that. It's a powerful reminder that if you have a dream you believe in, don't let setbacks stop you. Learn from them, adapt, and keep moving forward. Because sometimes, the greatest successes are built on a foundation of spectacular failures. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think is the biggest lesson from Ford's early struggles? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of history as greatest innovators. We'll see you in the next one.